everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're going to be pitting The Collector from 2009 against its sequel from 2012, The Collection. Now usually I like to dress up for these kind of videos, unfortunately I just have the Willy's Wonderland shirt on today, but I don't think YouTube would be so alright with me wearing a full-on bondage costume. I guess they just ain't kinky like that. Now before I get into this epic battle of horror movies, I'm gonna need you guys to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Alright, now let's get into this battle. Get over here! So before we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's talk a little bit about these films. The Collector from 2009 is an American horror film written by Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton, and also directed by Dunstan. The script, titled The Midnight Man, was at one point shopped as a prequel to the Saw franchise, but the producers opposed the idea and dismissed it. Also, it's basically about this guy who goes into this family's house, sets up a bunch of traps, and kills all of them. But on the other end of that, there's this dude named Arkin who's also breaking into the house at the same time and is trying to steal stuff from him. It's a wild movie and a total must-watch horror film, and I don't understand why it has less than a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's absolutely baffling, because this is a fantastic film. The sequel to The Collector, titled The Collection, is a 2012 American horror film. Josh Stewart reprises his role as Arkin in the film, and it is written by Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton, and once again, directed by Dunstan. In this film, we learn a little more about the Collector's backstory and where he takes all of his collected people, and also, this has a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. Once again, baffling. So now it's time to get into the good. Starting off with The Collector, I love the traps in this film. The traps are as creative and as inventive as the Saw franchise, maybe even better. And luckily that actually carries into the sequel for one of the first times in horror movie history. The killer is iconic, creepy, and cool. And did I mention he's super kinky too, because he's wearing a creepy ass bondage mask? You know this guy's into some messed up. The music is surprisingly terrifying. Really creates a disturbing atmosphere throughout this whole film because of the music. It does a really good job, has a great soundtrack. You actually feel bad for the characters when they die. Something I can't say about some of the Saw sequels that these guys also wrote. So it's a big plus. It's an improvement over what they did in the past. And the plot will induce so much anxiety in you. I just feel bad for this family. They have two people break into their house. One guy's trying to steal their rubies or whatever, and the other guy's trying to kill them with a whole bunch of elaborate Saw traps. So, I mean, these people are just effed. Moving on to The Collection, the opening scene is brutal. So brutal, in fact, James from Dead Meat won't even kill count this thing because of it. Now, I don't know if you follow James on Twitter, but I guess somebody actually tweeted at him the actual body count from that scene. So I think we'll actually get kill counts for both of these films sometime in the future. You're welcome, Dead Meat fans. The traps are just as nasty and original, just like the first film. I love how some of the traps are super elaborate, but then you also have the simple ones. Things that are just it's little, it's nothing too crazy, but it's really effectively scary. The biggest thing I'm talking about here is one of my favorite traps throughout this whole thing. It's so simple, but it's just the doorknob he replaces with a knife, and at one point Arkin goes to grab it and slices his hand. That's such a messed up little simple trap, but it's so effectively scary. I love it. The sequel does a really good job at world building. I've talked about in the past how much I love the Happy Death Day sequel and how that builds this world that extends off of what happened in the first film. This film also does the same thing, kind of. It goes a little deeper into the Collector's backstory. You learn a lot more about him and why he's doing the things he's doing and where he's taking all these people that he collects. And oh my god, the ending is so satisfying. After being devastated by the ending of The Collector, seeing the ending of the second film is just so satisfying. You're you are screaming at Arkin, you're yeah, let's go! It's so great. I love the ending to this film. These are such a great little duology of films here. I would like to see that third film. I've been talking about what's been going on with that, all the controversy and drama. Who knows though? It is very up in the air right now. I don't know if we'll ever see it, honestly. It's kind of scary stuff, and it's pretty bad. Funny to talk about that because we're moving into the bad. For The Collector, I will say I really don't like the choppy editing. You know how you go back and watch some of the Saw films and you're why is everything edited so effing crazy? Holy Jesus. Yeah, this film does the exact same thing and I don't like it. All the animal deaths in this film, I mean, what the heck? I'm pretty sure every animal we meet at one point or another in this movie dies in a horrible, horrible way. I don't care about people. People suck. But animals dying? That's pretty upsetting, man. The cat? Don't even get me started about the cat. Moving on to The Collection, I really don't like some of the CGI kills in the opening. Although your boy is a sucker for scenes where just 50, hundreds, thousands of people die all in one scene in a horror movie. I love it. The CGI does not hold up all that well from 2012, so yeah, kind of a negative there. The plot definitely gets a little far-fetched in this sequel as well. In the first movie, it's a little more like, yeah, okay, I could believe this happened, even if it's like, how did this guy set up all these traps in a matter of like 15 minutes? That's a little wild. But the second movie is like, how is this guy getting away with all this shit? Like, come on, it's ridiculous, some of the plot points in this movie. So am I giving out the Ugly Award? Heck no! I love these movies and they are so underrated, man. I mean, like, these guys wrote some of the Saw sequels that I don't really like all that much. These films are miles better than those movies. I don't know why, like, these films are not successful. Maybe people thought like, oh, those guys are just trying to rip off Saw, when it's literally made by the same guys that did the Saw sequels. At least like 4 through I believe 6 or 3D. I don't know, to me it's like night and day, man. I mean, these movies are so much better, so much more interesting too. The plots just make more sense. They're not like overusing that whole Jigsaw story like they do in the Saw sequels. I love them, they're great films. But which one is going to come out on top? I'm gonna be honest, this is the first time where I'm like, I don't know. Both of these films are so great for totally different reasons. They're kind of equals in my eyes. But if I have to go with one or the other, I'm gonna have to go with the sequel. Although I love the original film, it's a lot more believable and like has a crazy ending. Like I said, it's really devastating. I like the sequel more. For whatever reason, I go back to that film more than the other one. I can't even really pinpoint it. It's hard to say why I prefer that film over the first one. They're both so much fun. But I think like just the ending of that second film, how satisfying it is. I don't think I would like the second one if the first one didn't end the way that it did. But that's why I like the second one more, because it's like that satisfaction of having Arkin collect the collector. It's so cool. It's one of the best resolves to a cliffhanger in a horror franchise I've ever seen, by far. Like I said, these movies are just super underrated. You have to see them, and if I just spoiled it for you, wow, you should not have watched all the way to this point in the video. But what do you guys think about all this? Do you agree with these results? Do you think the first one's better? I wouldn't argue you if you thought that. Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching my new Versus video on the collector movies. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just look up KillJoy Jake and I'll come up. Subscribe to my second channel where I review everything that isn't a horror movie. It's called Movie Smoothie. It's in my little like channels section on my channel, on the main channel. That's a lot of channels. Go subscribe to that. Please consider supporting me on Patreon as well. The link for that will be in the description below. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.